Oh dear, it's moving day this weekend, mate, for Group 1s. Crikey, 5 of them.
Yeah, gee whiz. It's sort of come out of nowhere. I always forget how quickly the ramp up is for Group 1s.
Mate, 5 this weekend, the Everest and Caulfield Cup are next week. It's crazy.
Yeah, crazy. And yeah, seriously looking forward to the Everest. Haven't some fortunes changed for some horses in that race?
Isn't it? And I thought something was up with Nature Strip, as highlighted last week, and it turns out he had mucus in his throat. So
I saw that, yeah.
It'll have to be one of Waller's best performances ever if he can get him up for that.
Oh, if anyone was going to do it, I'd back Chris Waller.
Yes, but you're getting $8 to find out now. Much better than the $3 he was prior to the race. So
yeah, you'd be spewing if you had you'd put a fixed price early bet on him at like $2.50 or something. You'd be spewing.
You'd be nervous.
Be so nervous.
All righty, mate. Let's get stuck in. There's a ton of stuff to get through in this podcast today. So let's kick it off as we always do. Horses that caught our eye. Take us away.
First up, I'm going to go with a pretty obvious one, Enthar. She won the 2-year-old fillies race on the weekend in Randwick. She never looked in any trouble. 3 wide the trip. J-Mac didn't even give her a whack towards the end, and she still cruised home. She's $7 for the slipper at the moment. Great price.
Yeah. Actually, I think vaccine just finished. So... well, you get that. No, mate, she was very impressive. Very impressive. From Melbourne, I had a Sydney filly that has continued to go up the grades in September run. She was massive down the straight. That's 2 from 2 now down the straight. She's heading towards the Coolmore. So, yeah, she'll be mighty competitive there, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, the straight at Flemington, some horses just seem to love it. So... yeah, she looks to be really suited. Yeah, for the Coolmore.
Who else, mate?
Sierra Sue. She ran in race 8 in Melbourne. She had the best last 200 metres of the day, going sub 11. Michael Walker rode for a bit of luck, I reckon.
Mate,
didn't he get it?
Visually, that was the best win of the day for mine. She's on my list as well.
Yeah, okay.
That was a massive win.
Yeah,
huge.
Took it back and yeah, just absolutely bowled it home. 600. From 600 metres onwards, you could just see her winding up. Who are her trainers again? Natalie Young and...
Trent Bussard and Natalie Young.
Yeah. I think generally she rides forward. I think this is the first time because of the barrier she rode back, and it looks like that's the sort of way she should be ridden in the future.
Yeah, she was my Oaks filly for the South Australian Oaks. And
that's right.
I was quite keen on her there, but she came up with an issue, so she's obviously fully fit now. Yeah,
she looks really good. Remind me of the Oaks. Was that Toffee Tongue in South Australia?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Sierra Sue. Yeah, I do remember that, and she pulled up, didn't she?
Yeah, she was 3 wide the trip, no cover on speed, and she just died in the arse. So she's clearly got over whatever affliction she had, and she's come back. She might just be a springtime filly. You never know.
Yeah. Look, honourable mention actually too, Toffee Tongue, now that I think about it. Running a huge second.
Another Waller trifecta in a middle distance race. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Not me. Look, Finch as well in that race. Basically ran the exact same race as VE.
Yep.
So definitely can't begrudge him. But I also had for my last horse, Young Werther. Ran second in the last race in Melbourne. Was a hot favourite and had heaps to do, but absolutely bolted home with about 100 metres to go. Young horse, so he'll learn from that, the big fella, and definitely will be keeping an eye on him wherever he goes next.
Mate, the tried and true Danny O'Brien, Damien Oliver combination there. So yeah, he he was my pick for the quaddie, and he just never looked a hope, and he only really got going in the last 100, so he could be on a derby path. You never know. And my last one, mate, was Probable. Probable, and you know what? Honourable mention to Libertini. They were the two best wins in Sydney. So Probable's on her way to the Cox Plate now. So keen to see how she goes.
Yeah, she was awesome, and I'll talk about Probable a bit more later on in the potty.
Well, let's not waste any time, mate. Polo Recipients for the week, where we have different tiers of polos that we give to people in racing and outside of racing. So your top tiers are really nice, crisp, navy or grey. Your middles are your whites, your blacks, they're not quite as good. And then your bottom ones are something terrible like an orange or the dreaded purple.
You don't want a dreaded purple polo punters. You certainly don't want that.
You really don't. So, kick us off, mate. Who's your top tier polo recipient for the week?
Mate, I don't know what yours is, but I'm going to actually handball it back to you, because if I think it is what it actually is, I believe you deserve to talk about this first.
Is it the punter that won?
Actually, no, it's not.
Okay. So what do you want to do?
I'll go first then.
Okay. I know. I think I know what you're doing, but I've kind of flipped it.
Okay, fair enough.
So you go.
Straight up, top tier for me was the Brisbane Lions win on the weekend.
100%.
They were unreal. It was an unreal game of footy. It was great watching it with a diehard fan like yourself, mate.
Thanks, mate.
A few beers deep.
Yes.
So many highlights, so many awesome goals, and great to see them get the win onwards and upwards.
Yes. No, very, very happy, man. It was, it's been a very, very long time. Their last finals win was 2009. This will be their first prelim since 2004. Nothing else to say.
What a time to be a Lions supporter.
Nothing else to say. My top tier, mate, was a Quinella mistake. So I'm not sure if you've seen this.
I did see that.
This is hectic, punters. So firstly, this punter has some sort of balls on him. So he wanted a $60 per stake Quinella with, I think there was 10 different combinations. So there was 5 different horses in Newcastle race 6. So, already eyebrows raised. And then you have to look at the horses that he selected. So he went a 35 to 1 shot, a 19 to 1 shot, a $6.50 to 1 shot, a 41 to 1 shot, and a 151 to 1 shot in his Quinella.
Some genuine roughies in there.
So this thing salutes. So you're like, oh, happy days. How good's that? So instead of having $60 per stake, this man has had $600 per stake. He put another zero in his bet by mistake. So when he was watching the race, he assumed he had 60 on it. He didn't know he had 600 on it. He thought so he had 600 per stake per Quinella combination. So he had $6,000 on it.
Oh shit.
He wanted to spend 600. He landed up spending 6,000. But the thing's caught up. In the last stride, I think the 150 to 1 pop has popped its head up to run second.
No way.
So he's ended up winning over 620 grand.
That's a genuine life-changing mistake for the better.
And you know why I look up to this punter is because you've seen me at a tab on a weekend when I've only had 1 or 2 beers. I cannot fill out a ticket to save myself.
You're a genuine... I've never met anyone who is consistently terrible at filling out punting tickets. I reckon even someone who didn't know what they were doing would get it more often than what you do. You're shocking.
I either miss the dollar amount, miss the horse, miss the race number. Oh, it's awful, horrific. But yeah, gives me hope, mate, that one day I'll misclick it and then it salutes.
Yeah, just somehow pick a trifecta paying something similar to that.
Oh, yeah. So kudos to that punter, but no doubt he'll give it all back within a week. Righty, mate. Who's your middle tier?
Yeah, someone who bets that much on a fucking Quinella.
Oh, my God.
Pardon my French. Look, middle tier for me is Probable, but more so Karen McAvoy's ride on Probable in the Epsom. Rode really, really positively, which I think proved to be the difference on the Randwick Mile. Usually, I anticipated probably Bill going back, but Kerry McAvoy got out the blocks and got to a nice position early, so sort of cancelled out any danger of that wide barrier being an issue. So
he just knew the horse that he had under it.
Yeah,
no doubt in that. So yeah, credit to him, mate. He rode it like it was a good thing, and gee whiz, it was. So
wasn't it just?
And what's that? 3 or 4-0 to Funstar now, probably Bill. So they're old sparring partners, but she always gets the best of her.
Yeah, Funstar was great though, and I didn't really look at it at all for the Epsom. So
I thought her prep was pretty average, but Brad put her in as
great punt.
His top pick, but it didn't salute, did it? My middle tier this week is Damien Oliver. Now I actually have 2 this week, and he's the first one, so. He's on notice for me because he had a couple of stinking rides on the weekend. One of them was Tefane, where he just sat behind him, maybe had nowhere to go. You didn't have, and I really don't like potting jockeys. I really don't. But he's had a few the last few weeks where they've been pretty average. Tefane was one of them. That Young Werther was another, where he just wasn't proactive enough, and you'd never know the instructions. Probably just doesn't want a gut buster. And I think he was on Personal as well, where he didn't really ride it out either last start in the 1,000 Guineas prelude. Now, I might have got that right or wrong, but I think it was him. All that aside, he's on a couple of my on-top selections this weekend, and he needs to get the job done. So I believe he can. It's just maybe he might be a little bit out of form, old Ollie. And the other punter I have on notice is Dolab. So he started the Group 1 season out so strongly, and mate, he had a stinker on the weekend. I think he only had 1 placing from memory. He himself said that he started out the Group 1 season last year in the exact same fashion, out of the blocks, early leader, and then he faded. And what happened last time? He won the Purple Polo.
Yeah, he's not peaking at the right time in his prep, is he?
So yeah,
real first up type.
Yeah, bit of chat within the group. You'll never know how he takes that. So
respond then. Yeah. Just respond.
I want to see you actually do something now, Dole. Come on, lift. And credit to you, mate. You had a great weekend on the Group 1s last week,
mate. Yeah, about time.
Yeah. Well, yeah, out in front now with Macca on your heels. So,
mate, definitely moving day this weekend, and then obviously Derby Day in a couple of weeks. I don't care what happens for any weekend up until Derby Day, as long as I have a good day on Derby Day. That's all that matters.
100%, mate. All right, your bottom tier.
I don't know if you would have seen this, mate, but randomly popped up in what's it called, Reels now on Insta. This bloke drove his Maserati onto a beach in Newcastle, but it's like a 4-wheel driving beach. And yeah, so he drives his Maserati on there. Why? I've got absolutely no idea. Probably like a, I don't know, $250,000 car. And then gets bogged on the dry sand as you'd expect. So goes to tow it out, and when they connect the ute in front and it drives forward, completely rips off the bonnet of the car.
Oh no!
So that's just terrible behaviour. I just randomly saw it and I was like, "Is this real? Is this a prank?" And then I googled it and found out a bit more. And I just thought, you know what? That's just terrible behaviour. That's bottom tier stuff.
That is bottom tier stuff.
I also had a dishonourable mention to Ollie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, same juice box here, mate. My bottom tier, and this is how I flipped it on you, is Richmond's disrespect to Brisbane before that final last week. I pointed it out to you at the pub.
You did.
They were basically just laughing and joking around before they went out, and I can't see them doing that a few years ago. Like when they first started making finals, I think that just shows a bit of
complacency.
Yeah, complacency.
We got there together in the end.
Thanks for your help. Thanks for walking me through.
I was struggling too.
Complacency. So yeah, I just think they disrespected their opposition, and you could just see Brisbane was switched on before the game. So look, Yeah, I just don't like seeing that in footy.
Yeah, it looked arrogant. It did.
Yeah.
I've got no issues with Richmond
Yeah.
as a club or as a team, but that did look arrogant.
Yeah, I think they like the smell of their own mess sometimes. So still think they're the team to beat. I think they can definitely get there the long way this year. But yeah, pull your heads in, boys. Alrighty, that's it, mate. Let's get cracking onto the preview of the Caulfield card. Race 1 on the program is is it called the Debutante Stakes?
Yeah, it is. I read that and then it didn't click for a few minutes. I was looking at the form. I was like, none of these horses have raced before. Most of them haven't even trialled. And then, put 2 and 2 together because I am smart and figured out it's called the Debutante Stakes for a reason.
Alrighty, so 1,000 metres, Caulfield, obviously 2-year-olds. Can you pick a winner here?
Oh, well, I picked both the 2-year-old races last week. One was pretty straightforward. The other one was a genuine punt. So I was thinking, I'll do the same thing here and go for jockey-trainer combination. But that doesn't even really give you much here either. But look, I've got the favourite on top at the moment, number 12, Fake Love. The Murray Eustace stable's in pretty good nick. Mark Zara's in pretty good form. I'll be keeping an eye on the market, but for the sake of this podcast, I'll have it on top.
Beautiful. No, can't knock you there, mate. I was listening to a RSN about it, and they have a trial dude who looks at everything, and he said that thing will be very hard to beat. Barrier 1 at Caulfield can sometimes be a bit sticky, but it's actually going to suit it. Needs something in its vision to keep it on track. Okay. So should lead and be a bit tough to run down. I think as a rule, prior to maybe January, I'm just not going to back any of the favourites in the 2-year-old races, just because I don't see any value in it. If I have a bet at all.
Yeah.
Look, Godolphin over the last few years have been outstanding in their 2-year-olds. They have been top class in getting them ready. I think one of the Godolphin things down at Flemington last week, won on debut at about $10 or so. That thing just didn't look like losing. I'll stick with Godolphin here with Ollie on board. Animo, the 2. Again, this dude from RSN said that it has been, having some nice jump outs and looks a progressive animal. James Cummings during the week said that it has a good chance, so why not? But again, not too confident, but that's what happens with the babies, mate. They don't know what they're doing.
Fair enough. And look, for the most part, in Colts versus Phillies, you'd probably want to go for Colts. I've gone a Philly, but fair enough.
Yeah. Alrighty, mate. The Thoroughbred Club Stakes, 1,200 metres, Group 3, Phillies. What are your thoughts?
For me, it's really hard to go past the favourite. What's that? Was great last start, winning in Moonee Valley. It had a pretty tough race there, though, but still got the chocolates. Run prior, it ran second to the previously mentioned horse September Run. She looks to be a really smart filly, September Run, so I think that form should stack up pretty nicely here. So happy to have it on top. We'll be keeping an eye on number 1, Let's Be Glam, though. It's a horse I've backed a couple of times, so if it runs a decent race but doesn't win, I'll be happy.
Yeah, I think the key for Let's Be Glam might be the weather. So I think she's maybe it's How Romantic. One of the two. Let's say both of them, might not handle the softer conditions. So if the rain does come down in Melbourne and we're playing on a soft 6 or so, might be a little bit of a query. But Swats that. I think she handles any going. She's my on-top selection as well, mate. Nothing more to add. Cool. Race 3 on the program is the Weekend Hustler Stakes. You've been called a Weekend Hustler from time to time.
Man, I get through some genuine work on the weekends. So that's fair enough. Play on.
Alrighty, mate. Who have you got on top here?
I can't get off number 6, Windstorm. It was a fighting win the other week against Buffalo River. Well into its prep. But yeah, I can't really see anything else threatening it in this race. I think There'll be some nice early speed from number 5, Archidamus. And Windstorm likes to chase something, so
yeah,
happy to have it on top.
Smaller fields, you can have confidence in the back markers. They always aren't that too far off, only 2 or 3 lengths off him at the top of the straight. So I think he's the most likely winner. But the horse that's been under the radar this prep, and the one I'm actually going to have a throw at the stumps at, is number 2, Runson. Peaks third up here, 3 wins from 6 starts. Favourite track, favourite distance. Yeah, he ran a nice third, behind Diamond Effort first up. So I think he's worth a throw at the stumps at the $8.
Yeah, why not, man?
I think, it's between him and Windstorm to get the chockies, but I do concede Windstorm looks very hard to beat. Alrighty, mate. Race 4 is the Northwood Plume Stakes, Group 3 for mares. Who'd you land on here?
Well, I didn't land on number 7, Liar. I'm jumping off her after backing her, I think, every start since she won the Blue Diamond. So there's a few chances in this, but just quickly, is number 3, How Romantic? It's nommed for Randwick as well, so I don't know.
Well, this prep she's been in Melbourne, so I'd imagine the only reason they might... she's got a jock booking here, so I'd say she's here.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, look, I'm actually quite split on this race then. I like number 3, How Romantic, and number 4, Felicia as well. Both have really great records on the track. I think How Romantic was backed pretty heavily last start and ran second as the favourite. I think that's the race where Craig Williams had an absolute peach of a ride on Pinion. Yeah. Crazy ride.
Yep.
I think $13 when I was looking at it earlier. I think that's a ridiculous price. So I think that's real value there. I think it's between it and Felicia. But I'm happy to have an each way on How Romantic.
Yep, can't talk you out of that, mate. She's known for the Silver Eagle, so she'd have to go up against old AB.
Alligator the blood. Yeah.
So not sure about that. Yeah. Stay tuned. Mate, the one I've got on top here, and I don't think you'll be surprised here, is number 1, Keelong. Tony McAvoy, Luke Curry on the back. I really like this mare.
Yeah, I know you do, yeah.
Big fan of her. She has a fantastic record, 50% winning strike rate, 80% placings, so she always puts in. Last prep, she was able to hold off Ghana down in Adelaide, and I think she can get the chocolates here. First up form's pretty damn good, 2 out of 3. Handles the distance and handles any way of going. So, yeah, look, I'm happy to risk Liar. Fiesta only really has one run in her each prep. Watch her win now. And... yeah, the others, I agree that Felicia is a danger, and I'm actually keen to see how Exhilarates goes as well. But it's been a while since she's won 56 weeks. So, yeah, she's my on-topper. Alrighty, mate. So, I think I'm got a bit... Let's have a look here. Alrighty, here's a good race, mate. The Scalacci. Race 5, 1,100 metres, Group 2. Wait for age. Who you got on top?
Mate, it is a great race. It's pretty tough race to pick, but I'm going to go with Sydney form. There's only a couple of Sydney horses in this race, one of them being number 8, Dirty Work. It's run behind several Everest-bound horses so far this prep, and some pretty nice runs. Run behind G-Tra and Nature Strip and the Concord. Ran a 4th in the shorts. It was checked in that race. I think the trifecta was Classic Legend, Eduardo, and Bivouac in that race. So running behind some smart horses. Happy to have it on top here.
Yeah, I was really weighing up Dirty Work and another horse. The only reason why I got off Dirty Work is because I think he's actually treated pretty poorly at the weights here. Does rise a fair bit in the weights, so yeah, I'm just not convinced at that. And there's some horses that can carry weight, Behemoth being one, and there's others that can't, and I'd have no idea if he can or he can't. I've got a love affair with this horse. Diamond Effort on top for me, number 10. I just can't fold her. Look, she ran 5th in the Moya last start, but she was pulling her head off. She was really uncomfortable. Maybe it was the night, maybe it was the Moonee Valley track, don't really know. But she was also back from 1100 to 1000. She's back up to 1100 here. She's proven on, again, any way of going. So that's kind of a theme for my on-top selections this weekend. And yeah, she's drawn a bit sticky, but I think, yeah, she can sit on speed and take a sit behind maybe Splintex, Jungle Edge, maybe Haydock, and Order of Command. So there is a bit of speed in this race. So yeah, happy to have her on top. Let's skip the features. There's 4 of them. And let's go to the Get Out Stakes, mate. Let's quickly go to the Get Out Stakes. So I've got, if I can find it, here we go. The Herbert Power, 2400 Group 2. This was a toughie for me.
Same here, mate. It really was. There's probably 3 or 4 horses that I struggled to separate. But look, I'm just going to go with the favourite, number 3, Order of the Garter. I can't knock his form.
No.
And good win last start. Obviously goes up in distance here, which I think will be suitable. Draws well. Ollie on the back. So I'm hoping Ollie bounces back this weekend, like you said. Other horses I'll be keeping an eye on will be In Good Health, who should get an easy lead. Zabrowski, I'm waiting for it to do something.
Off him.
And Chapada as well, I think, should not run a nice race here.
Yeah. No, I agree, mate. Order of the Garter looks very hard to beat, but he's not my on-toppy here. I've gone for a bit of a roughie in the last, one that hasn't won for an age. 78 weeks, in fact. So hopefully today's the day. Number 10, Gaelic Chieftain. Look, his recent form doesn't look too good. Duck Head, 8th, 4th, 7th, 9th. Looks pretty damn average, actually.
It's bang average.
But I think he might get things to suit here. Smaller field, that might be the key to this horse. Only 11 runners, so he will have things in his sight. He's a back marker, so he will get back, but he'll have him in his sights. I don't think there's too much speed in this race, so I think everything will have a chance of winning. He is treated really well at the weights here. I can't remember the last time he had 54 kilos, 3 starts ago in the Sydney Cup. Anyway, last start, he was one of only 2 horses to break the 12 seconds for the last 200. The other one being Chapada, and he meets that horse 2.5 kilos better at the weights. And Chapada is a bit of a non-winner as well. So I'm happy to have Gaelic Chieftain on top here. Damien Lane on. Yeah, he could sneak in. The reason why I wasn't keen on Order of the Garter, he has the Caulfield Cup next week. Like, is he really going to have Gutbuster here? I don't know.
I find with stayers the quick turnaround isn't too much of an issue, particularly when they're into their prep.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is a fair point.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like I just can't see him having a really hard run here. I think they're just going to take him round, basically like a barrier trial. If he wins, he wins. But happy to take him on. Alrighty, punters. That's the first 6 races on the card. We're going to get into the features, have a bit of a deep dive next, but we'll take a quick break before that. We're back, mate. We're back. Let's get stuck in. Let's start deep diving into the Group 1s.
Let's do it.
Nice little beverage. Alrighty. Race 6 on your programs is the Caulfield Stakes, 2,000 metres, Group 1, Wait for Age. And as I do, mate, I'm going to give you some stats. Mate, all of these races in Caulfield, time honoured. This race goes back to 1886.
Gee whiz.
Yeah. The 2016 edition only had 3 runners because of winks. Didn't even research who they were, but that's the smallest field ever for a Group 1 in Australia. 3 runners.
3 runners. Jeez.
Yeah. And it's got a bit of the same thing happening here because of one fella that is scaring them all off. So 7 winners since 2006 have come through the Underwood tick. And only 3 mares since 1985 have won. Winks and Atlantic Jewel are included in those. Let's not really spend... previous winners. Kingston Town, Might and Power, Northerly, Long Row, So You Think, and Cape of Good Hope last year, who I don't think he's finished inside the top 10 since.
Yeah, gee whiz.
So, mate, I think we're drinking from the same juice box here.
I think we are.
But, yeah, who have you got on top?
Yeah, look, RC number 6, Russian Camelot, looks too dominant here. He was dominant last start in the Underwood. Have him on top. Nothing more needs to be said. Cox Plate or Caulfield Cup, you reckon, for Russian?
Cox Plate, already confirmed.
Already confirmed?
Cox Plate into Melbourne Cup. And then I think they're taking him to the UK next year, which is great to see.
Yeah. Unreal.
They're going to take on the world. So
fair enough.
All things going well, obviously. But
he looks to be probably the number 1 horse in Australia at the moment, I think.
Yeah, well, I saw something pretty crazy actually on Instagram, which I saved, and I'll pad until I find it. But he only started his career less than a year ago, which is actually pretty hectic.
Yeah, I think I know what you're trying to pull up on Insta. And if it is, it's a great little
Yeah. So, how long did it take some of Australia's recent equine champions to win 3 Group 1s? So you go Black Caviar, 694 days, Winks, 508 days, So You Think, 501 days. And if he wins this weekend, it will be exactly 365 days. So he'll be the quickest to do it. So it's great. So Sportsbet put on the Hotham meeting at, I think it's Bendigo, on a Saturday. So that's basically the richest maiden race in Australia. So they have basically the worst horses. It's the Melbourne Cup for worst horses in Australia. And he ran his first race in Australia was at that meeting. So a year on, he's $1.50 favourite for a Group 1. It's nuts.
It is
the
crazy.
Progression of this horse.
I think he blew everyone away in the South Australian Derby, was it?
Yeah. Riding on the wall there.
Yeah.
That's when he really got my attention.
Yeah, so I have him on top.
Yeah, so do I. Hopefully I don't put the brakes on him. But I've got Russian Camelot on top. I've got Arcadia Queen running into second, and I have Humidor running third.
Yeah, same trifecta for me, mate. Humidor's been going very well this prep, hasn't he?
He has. He's on a Cox Plate path as well. I think a lot of these will be on a Cox Plate path, to be honest. So, see how they go. Alrighty, mate. 1,000 guineas, so 1,600 metres Group 1 for the fillies. Alrighty, so this one started in 1946. From 2006 to 2019, 7 favourites have won, so favourites have been well supported. Only 2 runners since 2004 have drawn a double-digit barrier and won.
Okay.
So you want to draw well. And 5 of the last 7 winners have finished in their top 3 in the last start.
Okay.
Previous winners, Miss Finland, Atlantic Jewel again, Amphitrite, and last year was that hectic race where Flit just poked her nose out right at the end. I think it was it Miss Mantra maybe?
Yeah.
Something else?
Yep.
Yeah. So, all that considered, mate, how'd you see this race unfolding?
Man, I'm going to go back to the well with Hungry Heart. I don't think you will be, but I'm not too concerned by the quick backup. She's well into her prep, so I think she'll be rock hard. And yeah, I just think this race looks suitable for her. Obvious danger for mine is number 3, Instant Celebrity. This is a pretty big step up for her.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, happy to go with Hungry Heart again. Bit of a non-winner, like you said, but like you said last week, but
mate,
gonna take her.
That's fine. Look, Montefilia is a smart filly, so if you get bitten by a better horse on the day, and Dame Giselle the bubble finally burst for that girl.
Yeah, well, you called that, mate. So fair enough.
There's a few Sydney Raiders in this race. Hungry Heart, as you mentioned. Thermosphere, who's on the quick back up again after saluting in Melbourne last week, but she's a Sydney filly. And you also have Vangelic. Mate, there's no speed in this race at all. You have Vangelic going forward and maybe Night Raid. And Night Raid, who I've just heard, was a bit down in the dumps after the prelude. So I thought she was one of the winning chances, but after hearing that, I'm not too keen on her. The filly who I think has just been grossly missed in this market, I can't believe the price for her, is number 4, Personal. This filly ran 3rd in the Blue Diamonds this autumn, and she was massive, a massive run last start, running 2nd behind Instant Celebrity. She was on the rails, and she actually had the ability to sit on speed as well. She used the barrier, and that makes me think that Ollie on the back, hopefully, he can do this from time to time. Just get him in a position where they're comfortable. I'm happy if he does that. But yeah, he should get her in a nice position. And this girl last run, she looked cooked at the top of the straight, but eased her in, and she was about 2 lengths off Instant Celebrity in the last 150 metres. She came through right on the line to only miss her by a length. About 50 metres past the line, she was past her. So the 1600's cherry ripe. $17 looks a stupid price for that girl. So I'm keen on her. But yeah, Instant Celebrity, the danger. Just don't know if she'll run out 1600.
Yeah, no, great shout, mate. For me, I've got Hungry Heart on top, Instant Celebrity running 2nd. I've actually got Thermosphere on the quick backup. I think the Sydney form should stack up pretty nicely. And it was, 4 wide when it won last week. So, I reckon it'll jag a 3rd.
Any rain around will help that girl. I think she's a bit of a wet tracker, but her Sydney class got her over the top of those girls last start.
Sure did.
So I've got Personal on top. I've got Instant Celebrity running 2nd, and begrudgingly, I've got Hungry Heart running 3rd. I really don't like the afterthought Group 1s. They rarely win. I think that is the case here, but she has the best 3-year-old filly form going around in Australia, so can't knock her for being on toppy. Alrighty, mate. This is the creme de la creme. The feature of the day, the Caulfield Guineas. What a hectic race it is. Again, started in 1886. Since this is pretty hectic. Since 2011, only 3 winners have been from the Caulfield Guineas prelude. So, yeah, not a massive form reference. So that means that the Sydney Raiders and the Queensland Raiders have been winning.
Yeah, and that probably influenced my betting a bit.
Yeah. Barriers 1 to 5 have only produced... They've produced 20 of the last 31 winners. So an inside barrier has
60%.
Yeah. But you look at that and you look at the horses that have drawn inside here, they're bid out in the market. So it's chalk and cheese. It's probably just luck of the draw, to be honest. Only 3 winners in the past 30 years have finished worse than 4th in their lead up. So you need something with some relatively good form in the lead up. And New South Wales and Queensland trained gallopers have won 15 of the last 23.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, and the longest ever price in a Group 1 has been produced in this race. What price do you reckon?
$180.
251 to 1.
Imagine that.
A Barity, if that is indeed your name.
Shout out.
Yeah. But previous winners, mate, Lonro, Manicato, the Autumn Sun. and last year's winner just getting over Alligator Blood, Super Seth, right down the outside.
I remember that.
So, all that taken into consideration, mate, who have you got on top?
Oh, mate, I was just
Rubik's Cube.
I was genuine Rubik's Cubing myself when I was looking at the form last night. So many horses that are in with a chance, and I'm genuinely split at the moment between number 1 Tagaloa and number 3 Ollie Kirk. On Tagaloa was 3 wide the trip last race against older horses, and still ran on well. Back to its own age group, the big fella, which I think will be suitable. So yeah, I like Tagaloa. Ollie Kirk though, that Sydney form should relish the 1600 metres. Draws an okay barrier, not one of those 1 to 5 barriers, did you say, that tends to be dominant here, but he'll get back a little bit anyway with King's Legacy, so I don't think that's too much of an issue as long as he doesn't find too much trouble coming through. So, mate, I'm genuinely split between the two. If you had a gun to my head right now, I'd probably say Ollie Kirk on top.
Yep. No, can't talk you out of that, mate. On Tagaloa, blinkers off as well.
Yeah, I saw that.
So they chucked the shades on for his first 2 runs this prep, but he did his best racing last prep and prep before that without him. So, he could explode. And one thing about this horse, and one thing that blinkers prevent, is he's one of those fighters. When he saw Hanseatic run up beside him in the Blue Diamond, he stuck his neck out there. He wanted to win. That could be the winning recipe for him, to chuck his head out there. 100% needs to go in your quaddie.
Yeah.
I'm with you, mate. Sydney form is the best form. I've got Ole Kirk on top. I was weighing up King's Legacy and Ole Kirk, but I've gone for Ole Kirk because apparently this is his grand final, not the Golden Rose. So,
gee whiz.
Yeah, so this is where he peaks, which I was surprised about.
And the Hawk stable gets him going when they
get
need
him
to.
right.
Yeah.
And he gets around on his Melbourne leg, no worries at all. King's Legacy, he was good, but the 200 metres will suit him here, but he could be wanting 2,000. Like, he could be wanting further, whereas Ole Kirk, this looks a bit more suitable for him.
Yeah, it's hard to pick 3-year-olds for the distances above 1,600 metres because so many of them are sort of aimed at the mile at its peak. So yeah, you could be right about King's Legacy. He might want a bit further than the 1,600, whereas I think 1,600 for Ole Kirk looks absolutely cherry ripe.
One thing I do as like a general rule of thumb is obviously listen to the trainers, but look at their 2-year-old season. And there's some out-and-out sprinters where they thrive at the 1,200. Farnan, for example, Rothfire. Where Tagaloa, they've always said he's a miler. Ole Kirk, good 1,200 metre to 1,400 metre horse as a 2-year-old. Steps out to 1,600 here, should suit. King's Legacy won the 1,400 and 1,600 Group 1s. He could be suited out to further. So I think a while ago they were talking Cox Plate with that horse. So 2,000 metres, that might be his pet distance.
Yeah, and hasn't Ollie Kirk gotten jacked, mate?
Yeah.
Since its last prep. I was looking at it going into the barriers the other weekend, and that's a big horse.
Yeah, it is. The one I would have been keen on as well would have been Glenfiddich. If he didn't have an affliction, but that's how it goes. The other runner I was keen on was Moanga. I just think its form is a little bit of a notch down. Looked at that first up run over at Newcastle has been a massive form reference. 6 subsequent winners from that race in only a few weeks. Huge form reference. But you compare that to, I think it was the Golden Rose Prelude or whatever it was.
Yeah, that it won. Yeah.
That Rothfire won. So you compare that race that Rothfire won.
Oh, yeah, the two separate form lines, yeah.
To the Newcastle race, it was about 10 lengths slower. So
yeah,
I think it is a bit of a jump up in class. Look, he could just be an absolute freak and pull it off, but I think I'm against him. So I did have King's Legacy on top, but based on this being Ole Kirk's grand final, I've got him on top now. King's Legacy running second, and I have Tagaloa as the best of the locals.
Yeah, similar trifecta for me, mate. Ole Kirk on top. I'll have Tagaloa running second, and then King's Legacy to run a nice third.
Beautiful, mate. Alrighty, the Toorak, mate. This is a bloody tough one.
Isn't it just?
So, this one, 1881, mate. Far out.
Some genuine time-honoured races.
Yeah. The best lead up form reference has been the Sir Rupert Clarke, produced 6 of the last 8 winners. 4 horses have carried 58 kilos in the last 10 years, so the weight might not be necessarily a disadvantage. Only 3 mares have won it in the last 20 years. And previous winners make Lucky Hustler, More Joyous, Regal Roller, and last year, Fierce Impact.
Yeah, and he was at juicy odds that day, wasn't he?
About 20 to 1, yeah. You'll never... To be honest, mate, you always get an each way price about him anyway.
Yeah, you do.
Anyway.
Such an honest horse.
He really is. So, talk me through this because I need some help.
Mate, I was stumped by this race. Absolutely stumped. 4 or 5 things I like. Trying to weigh up, the Sir Rupert Clarke and Sydney form coming into this race. Look, I've gone number 13, Juniper, on top. It's been great, this prep. It really has. It was a dominant win last start. Look, is it a genuine Group 1 quality horse? I don't know. But I wouldn't say that there's heaps and heaps of quality in this race either. Hoping that from that barrier, sits sort of
midfield.
nice midfield position. Hopefully find some cover and then kick towards the end. I do think a bottom weight in this particular edition of the Toorak might be a bit more of a factor. Look, not a lot of confidence. But I really did like its win last start, and it's come back really nice this prep. So Johnny Allen on the back, he's been in pretty good form too, the big fella. So
yes,
Juniper on top for me with 0 confidence.
Bit of speed in this race. So Coney will go forward, Age of Chivalry, Buffalo River with Arkansas Star, Chief Ironside, and I'm Superman sitting behind. I think it'll be a genuine tempo. And I think that will actually suit the bottom weight Buffalo River. From their connections were saying that they just went too slow last start, and a few horses do need a genuine tempo when they race on speed. Finch, for example, he would need a nice, genuinely run 2-mile race because he's just now an outstayer. Buffalo River, I think he's a very, very top class miler. So I think he can get the chocolates for me. He dropped 6 kilos here as well. So I think that is the right form line here. Gets around Caulfield. He can handle dry or wet. No issues. I'm happy you put Juniper in. I don't have it in my top 3, but he was definitely in the mix for me. The one runner I was umming and ahhing about was number 4, I Am Superman.
Yeah, same here.
Far out. He's a bit of an enigma, this horse, but he's come back a better animal. Put Riadini to the sword last start, and Riadini just came out and ran a place in the Epsom. So that form line looks red hot now. Very poorly treated at the weights for mine.
Yeah.
For a horse that's only won 2 races in the last 12 months, one of them being a Group 2, which is where he would have got the penalty. Yeah, he gets 57.5 kilos here. Like, I don't know. He gives Buffalo River 4.5, where he drops 6. He won't know himself.
Yeah, that for me was a factor. Just the 2 wins from I Am Superman are great, and like you said, the form's been franked with Riadini's win, but I just wasn't convinced enough to put it on top. Great shout with Buffalo River, mate. It's also a horse that I was weighing up as well. Fought on really strongly against Windstorm last race. Don't get me wrong, Windstorm's a cracking horse, but is Windstorm a genuine Group 1 horse?
Yeah.
Don't know.
This isn't a genuine Group 1 field, though.
It's not. But, yeah, I've found this race super tough to dissect. I'm happy to have Junipal on top, but for mine, I'd have Buffalo River running a really close second. I Am Superman running third. But look, you could argue Superstorm, you could argue Cascadian if he gets into a nice position with Ollie in this race. I don't know.
Cascadian for mine, I did have a red hot look at him, but he might be a Flemington horse. Might need a bit more space. He seems to do his best racing on big tracks, so Caulfield might not be his go. But,
he doesn't like Caulfield at all.
And the trainers know best. But 3 back-to-back runs at 1,400, really? I don't know. He gets to 1,600 here. That suits, but is it a run too late? Don't know. Anyway. And yeah, I've got Buffalo River on top, Iron Superman running second. I have Superstorm. I'm chucking it in because I have no idea what they're doing with this guy, this prep either. Gone from 1,400 up to 2,000, back to 1,600.
Yeah, that was a turn off for mine. Like you said, trainers know what they're doing, but yeah.
Like with Regal Power, they did the same thing. Went from the Australian Cup down to the All-Star Mile the next week. 2,000 back to 1,600. Regal Power won. So the stable's been proven at it. He might come out and win. Drawn wide, so get out of trouble. Piking on the back, you never know. Alrighty, mate. So that's Caulfield done and dusted, but
some tough races.
It is bloody tough, and I don't think it gets any easier for the Spring Champion Stakes either. Down in up in Sydney.
It certainly doesn't.
So. This one, mate, been running since 1971. It's the final Group 1 of the Sydney season for the spring. But I imagine the Group 1 status of the Everest will change. That will surely change in the coming years. And the Golden Eagle, for that matter. The Gloaming Stakes has provided 7 of the last 10 winners. And only 2 runners have finished worse than third in their lead-up run since 1993. This will put a lot of punters out, I reckon, this stat. Only 3 favourites have won since 2002.
Yeah, and I didn't know that, but I was thinking to myself, there's a few red-hot favourites in this. And I was thinking to myself, these are 3-year-olds. How often do they run super consistently every start? Not that often. You've got a few exceptions, obviously. But there's 2 favourites in this, number 3 Love Tap and number 13 Montefilia. Both have cracking cases. Love Tap's drawn the absolute car park. Last start obviously led the entire time and found something in the sort of last 100 metres of the race. Nash gave it a great ride. We'll have a harder time getting out in front here, and I think the extra distance might be a bit too much for it. So I don't have Love Tap on top. Montefilia, cracking filly, obviously. Awesome win last start, quick backup. Like I said, with Hungry Heart, I don't think the quick backup's that much of an issue. But fillies versus colts, how often does that happen in the 3-year-old races?
Yeah, not often. Not often. And especially for staying races, the fillies and mares, rarely do they marry up against those colts and geldings. So
I actually got a roughie on top in this, expecting it to peak for this race. Number 5, Bucharest. Waller horse. Waller doesn't have a ton of runners in Group 1 racing this upcoming weekend. I think for the 3-year-olds, particularly over the 2,000 metre mark, Waller's got a cracking record. J-Mac on the back, I think it's drawn really well here. Barrier 3 should sit just behind the leaders. And I think it showed enough in the last race. What's that race called? Sorry, against that Love Tap one.
It was the Gloaming.
The Gloaming, yeah. Like you said, I think the Gloaming's a great form line for this particular race. He ran on really well in that. And not only that, if you look at Bucharest's parents, side by Deep Impact, great Japanese horse, and Stan was Miss Finland. Both cracking horses, and most of their wins were 2,000 metres and above. How much you read into that, you know?
He has the pedigree to
run it out. Yep. So, look, I think $20 at the moment is an excellent price, and I'm happy to take on the favourites. So,
Blinker's first time.
Yeah.
J-Mac on. That's a good case you've made. Look, I'm really keen on Ruffy in this race, and I don't know if I'm brave enough to put him on top. But you know what, mate? You've convinced me. I'm changing my tip.
You love to see it.
And you know what, mate? It's an omen bet. Number 6, Lions Roar on top.
Let's go.
He's on.
Let's go.
So, I'd love to know how many Newcastle winners have backed up a week later and won. But to be fair, he was a scratching in the Gloaming, so he was going to run there, and they scratched him from it for this Newcastle race. $1.50 pop, and he saluted, but he only saluted by about half a length in the end. But the horse that ran second to him actually got past him in the last 100, and he saw that, and he knuckled down, and he got past it.
Good to see. Good boy.
Good grit. So, I've got this big boy on top. As I mentioned on another podcast, big horse. Big boy. So, yeah, he'll just get out in stride and find his feet. He'll races on pace. Think about Finch, younger version of Finch for mine. I think he'll be mighty hard to get past, mate. He looks $20. He looks a really silly price. The other one I was weighing up was Cherry Tortoni.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Just don't know if this is in its sights. I really don't know why they're coming here, to be honest. Glenfiddich form, it's pretty damn good form. You can get Glenfiddich through Behemoth. So Cherry Tortoni, in turn, has Behemoth form, which is pretty hectic. So I think he will be mighty hard to beat as well. And I've also got Love Tap and Montefilia as the other chances. So I've got Lions Roar on top now. I've got him on top, the big boy. And I've got Cherry Tortoni running second. And look, Love Tap running third. But it's really a flip of the coin between him and Montefilia.
Yeah, I've got Bucharest on top. I've got Montefilia storming home for second and Love Tap holding on for third. And yeah, obviously Cherry Tortoni should run a good race as well.
Beautiful. Alrighty, let's take another quick break and then we'll get stuck into the juicy stakes. Alrighty, mate, this is where we get stuck into our best bets of the day. So, before we get stuck in, Rubisaki went down again.
I was going to give her a dishonourable mention because last podcast I took the purple polo off her and put a normal blue silks back on. I might have to put the purple polo back on her. Look, she's going to be that horse for me that I'm going to back every start.
Yeah.
So yeah, apologies for anyone who followed my bet on the weekend. She wasn't great.
No, she really wasn't. She might be a wet tracker, mate. Might be a wet tracker. Who knows? Hopefully she comes back. She might be an autumn filly mare. You never know. Alrighty, so and Madame Rouge snuck into fourth. Really hoping she'd run third, but well, these things happen. All right, mate, let's get stuck in. $85 we're up to for Living Legends with Macca's inclusion last week. So still haven't saluted yet, but this weekend could be the weekend. So before we get into that, let's get stuck into our Ruffy or value bets of the weekend, starting in Sydney.
Well, as just mentioned, in the Spring Championships, Bucharest, $20 at the moment. That's my Ruffy.
We're going head to head, so another 6-pack on the line. Lions Raw, both 20 to 1. Yeah, happy to have that on the line. Our Ruffy in Melbourne, mate.
Mate, as we sort of went through the card in Caulfield, I was actually thinking, geez, most of the things I've backed are favourites. But from a value perspective, if How Romantic does run in race 4 in Caulfield, I think it's about $13 at the moment. So happy to have that as my value slash roughy.
Beautiful. Gaelic Chieftain in the last. I think he's about $16 and can't go past a $17 pop in a Group 1 with personal. So they're my two. Each way in Sydney, mate.
If you go to race 8 in Sydney, have a look at number 2. It's a horse that I flagged as a horse to watch a couple of potties ago. Number 2, Positive Peace. This race looks really suitable. And I think at the price, $6.50 at the moment, $2.30 for a place. Why not?
Beautiful. I'm putting myself on notice here because if it jumps shorter, could definitely not be an each way bet. But you know what? I'm doing it anyway. Race 5, number 3, only 7 runners, so it needs to run top 2, but I'm confident it can. Number 3, Prime Star for the Freedmans. This boy, he just looks like an out-and-out miler, this horse, where he goes up against Mamaragan, which is dual accepted for the Guineas, I'm pretty sure. And he's also got Peltzer, who I think he's suited to shorter. Global Quest has been scratched from the Spring Champion, so I think he is definitely a chance. But Prime Star ran second to a Theory last start. A Theory's come out and 1-2 on the trot. So happy to have him on top.
Fair enough.
Yeah, each way in Melbourne.
I'm gonna go Juniper as my each way in Melbourne. Racing in the Toorak, I think it's about $5 for a win and about $2 for a place at the moment. So, look, like I said, not enormously confident, but I'm confident I'll finish top 3.
Beautiful. I've got race 4, number 1, Keelong. She's done nothing wrong in her career to date, so I think she can run a drum for us. Alrighty. Your best of the weekend in Sydney, mate.
Oh, mate, I'm gonna go with the Queensland Alligator Blood. Race 6, number 1, the Silver Eagle. He got a pass mark first up, but his second up form is proven. He's never actually run in Sydney before, has he? I don't think he has.
I don't think so, but they run the Sydney way of going in Queensland anyway. So.
Yeah, and look, he's got 4 wins at 1,200, 4 wins at 1,400 metres, and this is a 1,300 metre, so there's no reason why he won't run a good race.
Yeah, he was definitely... I was weighing him up. The only one I was nervous about was Dawn Passage. Only reason why I didn't have him as my best. My best is race 3, number 9, Creedurus, the Godolphin thing, who flew home last start.
Didn't it just? Doesn't
find a big field here. It was racing in a field of 13 last start. Has a field of 9 here, so it should have him in its sights. Clear danger for mine is Bottega, but I would be all over him like a rash if this was 1,600 metres or further. It's not. He stays at 14. Creedurus on 52 kegs. Rachel King on the back will be awfully hard to beat. Your best in Melbourne, mate.
I'm going to go RC, mate. Russian Camelot. I think it should be dominant in that race, so happy to have it on top.
Yep, same here. So, considering I was keen on Alligator Blood as well, let's chuck him in from Sydney and we'll both lob in Russian Camelot for our multi this week.
Sounds like a plan.
That should be fairly short odds.
Oh, yeah.
So hopefully, mathematically, this is the best chance we've had.
You'd really hope so.
Cool. Mate, another one in the books. Derby Day only a few weeks away.
Oh,
can't wait.
Isn't it a great time of year?
It is. So yeah, hopefully we find a few winners this weekend. There's plenty of value out there, punters, so good luck. But until next week, give us a follow on Instagram or Twitter. We're on YouTube, clearly. And yeah, give us a review on Facebook, on your podcast app, whatever you listen to. So until next week, we'll see you then.
Thanks, punters. Have a good one.